In this episode, we're going to show you how we made this custom switch panel to power all our lights and how we installed it in our dash. Give me that.
This is Wanderlust Overland.
Where the heck are we?
This can't be right.
We're going to be mounting ours in our 2017 4Runner, but the switch pod is pretty universal. Most vehicles come with a storage hole or a flat panel in the dash or console, so with a little ingenuity, this pod will fit just about anywhere.
Now the pod, or the bracket, or whatever you want to call it, is a universal one you can find all over the internet. The switches themselves are from a company called McTuning. The switch pods come in sections. You can either have just one or two or 12 if you want. They slide together with little dovetail joints, just like that. Easy for me to say. Come on. They do go together. There we go. And then the switches, they actually just plug in from the front and they snap in. Make sure they're in the right place because they are a bear to get back out. But as you can see, they just, oops, it's not in the right spot. They just, come on, come on. All right, there, see, they do. They just slide in like that. Now we pre-made our wiring harness to save a little time in the video, but as you can see, it's relatively simple.
We show how to make these connectors in our relay fuse panel video.
Now here's a diagram on where the wires plug in to the back of the switches. This wire comes from a spot in the fuse box that provides power all the time. That way we don't have to have our key on to turn our lights on. Now this just provides a little small amperage to the switches. You see, this power is not going to turn on our lights. This only turns on the relays, which in turn will turn on the lights. Switches like this aren't meant to carry much of an amp load, 3 amps max. If you try to push more amperage through these, they'll likely melt down or maybe even cause a fire. This black wire is the ground for one of our lights in the switch, the light that comes on when you turn the switch on. Now to wire up the LED that lights up when you turn the dash lights on, it's a little bit more complicated. You see, Toyota, for whatever reason, decided to put the dimmer function on the ground side of this circuit. So we can't just ground it to the body like we did the other one. To make it work properly, we tied in with some simple T-splices into a nearby dash switch circuit. And on our back of our switches, this solid green wire is our positive, and this green wire that we drew a white line on is going to be our negative for our dash lights. Before tying into any wires behind your dash, make absolutely certain that they're the right ones for your make, model, and year of vehicle, and make absolutely certain that you're plugging them into the correct terminals on the back of your brand of switches. This bundle of wires will go out through our firewall and provide the positive power to our relays that will then turn on our lights.
Now comes the fun part, putting the switch pod into the dash. We're putting ours right here. To make it fit, it's going to take a little bit of cutting. To do that, this panel has to come out. To make this work, we're going to have to cut the back out of this panel, and we'll use a cutoff tool to do it. A little bit of hot glue, and voila!
This harness here is going to send the power out to our relays. And this one provides the power and the ground, and the power and ground to the dash lights. Plug it in. And then we can simply start putting everything back together. Our next step is to provide the low amp power to our switches. Now we could have easily tied into the factory fuse box underneath the dash with one of these little adda-fuses, but that fuse box is so little we would have had to have either modified the lid or left it off completely. So we thought that the better option would be to tie into our custom fuse and relay panel underneath the hood. Now we're just going to put in a little 3 amp fuse. Whoops, if I don't lose it, in there, and that should do it. Let's go see if it works.
First, we'll try the dash lights. That works. Next, we're going to try the dimmers. Ooh, that works. Now, let's try the light bar. Ooh, brighter than the sun.
Well, it's great to get that over with. Now, as we add our lights, all we have to do is tie in the positive power right here, and we're all set.
This video is actually part 2 of our relay fuse panel one. You can get the link right here. If this is your first time watching one of our videos and you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to ring the bell if you want to be notified.